Imagine being able to make changes to your mattress through a natural conversation. The future has arrived. It is moving fast. And Rex Harris with Bryte is here to break it down. The Sleep Summit show begins right now. Mattress retailers, listen up. I've got a secret weapon for you. You ready? It's called Podium. And you've probably heard me talk about Podium because I'm a huge fan. And I've been using Podium for years because texting with your customers makes it feel like you're talking to a friend. And texting is just the beginning of what Podium is doing for mattress and furniture retailers. Podium supercharges your business with AI-powered lead conversion. Look, people are shopping. They're on your website. They're in your store. They're leaving your store. On and on it goes. But when they're ready to solve that sleep problem with a new mattress, the most responsive retailer wins. Podium powers all that communication. You can respond within seconds via text with Podium's mobile app, texting, payments, reviews, website chat. It's all right there. You need to harness the power of Podium today and start growing your business. And it starts right now when you check out podium.com.
Fam.news.
Welcome to the Sleep Summit show, where we uncover bold ideas with innovators, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders making waves in the sleep industry. With your host, Mark Kinsley.
I would like to welcome to the show Downhill Ripper, Chief Product Officer at Bryte, Rex Harris. Rex, thank you so much for being here on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. We are here to just talk about downhill ripping and mountain biking, right? So,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we'll get to some other like sleep stuff later because
sure.
you gotta have to sleep after you rip it in Bentonville or
True.
Pennsylvania or wherever you've got your able to find some of that hero dirt.
That's right.
Actually, you and I connected originally because you came to Bentonville to Dream Camp, and the team from Bryte was like, "Hey, if anybody's going to go to be a part of this Dream Camp event, which is going to have a heavy dose of mountain biking, it should be Rex because he is an absolute ripper and a huge fan of mountain biking." And that was how we met.
Yeah. And the riding in Bentonville is quite special. I was very fortunate and grateful to be a part of it. It was a wonderful conference as well, although unconference, I think, might be the better terminology for it. It was definitely a unique event. Yeah, riding was pretty awesome.
Well, we do have another Dream Camp that's going to be coming up at the end of April. I haven't announced it yet, but carve out some calendar time. I'm saying around late April, like last few days and like first week of May. So we'll hopefully be back at it. I always try to find some mountain biking if we can. You know me.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, Rex, you are, like I said, the Chief Product Officer at Bryte. And Bryte is a company whose restorative sleep technology builds on leading edge scientific research to introduce a new approach to optimizing natural restorative sleep. Now, I have experienced the Bryte product. I was at the event in New York where Bryte had set up a space, and that was an event for the hotel business. And I remember texting with you. I'm like, "Hey, we're in the same place at the same time. I really have to see this mattress, experience it." And I remember I had about 10 minutes that I went through this Somnify experience. And I've seen all the bells and whistles. I've been in this industry for a fair shake. And I'm skeptical. I just have to say, I'm coming in skeptical, but also very open. Sure. And I remember Luke gave me like the mask and the headphones, and you guys set me up. And like I said, I was very open to the experience, and I put on something with like some Irish flutes, I think is what it was. Yes. And I sit back there, and I'm in the middle of this giant convention hall, but blacked out on the mask. I've got full noise canceling headphones. And 10 minutes later, I stood up and I felt slightly disoriented, as if I had been transported to a new state of mind. And I'm not even kidding. Like, this actually happened to me. I felt relaxed. I felt as if I was energized, but not like on caffeine. I just felt like truly, I know you guys talk about this a lot, felt restored. Mm-hmm. In the middle of travel chaos and all that goes along with being on the road, I felt restored. I was blown away. I didn't even know what fully happened. Tell me what happened to me.
Yeah, I mean that's high praise, and I remember being there, so I appreciate the honest recounting of this experience too. Yeah, what the team's built is really special. To kind of get a little into Somnify as the feature, I think it's important to discuss a little bit about the Bryte mattress and how it can actually facilitate such a transformative experience, which is we have a mattress that is pneumatic based in terms of its core technology. It's powered by whisper quiet pumps and a set of valves and computer within the foot of the mattress that you can never hear. And what that does is we have 90 of these rebalancers or air coils that are essentially independently controlled through this system. That gives us the ability to create an experience like you had with Somnify, one of our kind of hero features for multi-sensory relaxation. The bed is able to kind of sequence inflates and deflates on all of those individual air coils to really provide this kind of experience that many people would say rocks them to sleep. We pair that with audio that's in sync. So it's custom created audio that is specifically built or produced to kind of sync with the bed motion. And it's really potent in terms of helping people fall asleep, which is a very sort of unfortunate and growing issue that we've heard from customers. Also, then in the context of being on a very busy conference or sort of show floor, can kind of pull you out of that and give you that moment of respite. We hear a lot. When you look at the data, a lot of times people will be, using this experience not just to help them fall asleep, but also to get some relaxation in the middle of the day, which is, it's really great to see that it's kind of helping people in multiple scenarios in life.
It's incredible. And I think when you talked about rocking to sleep, I remember somebody had mentioned ahead of the experience that it would potentially feel like waves. And I thought, oh, that's going to feel maybe not the best for me. But it was like a head to foot wave. And it was so subtle that I had to really concentrate in order to truly feel what was happening. And I was just blown away with the precision and the elegance of the experience, and it not being something that had to be so dramatic that to be demonstrable. It was something that you could demonstrate and feel if you paid enough attention, but overdoing it on that type of motion would probably not be the best experience for most people. So my huge applause to you and the team on building something that I had an incredible experience with. And I think now it's in the middle of a huge technological shift that's happening in the world. And that technological shift is all around generative AI. And I know from our previous conversations that Bryte is a company that has been using AI before ChatGPT ever came along. And now you have a new product essentially that taps into the power of that platform. Tell us about Sleep Concierge.
Yeah, so thank you. It is hard to believe that ChatGPT has not even been out for a year, isn't it? Pretty wild. Very powerful technology, with a ton of use cases across industries. For us, we're deploying it, as you mentioned, in this new feature we're rolling out. By the time this actually airs, I think it just rolled out, called Sleep Concierge, which is really an extension of, you mentioned the AI that we were already using in our product to begin with, where the foundation we've set over the last few years is more in kind of predictive AI, machine learning, to really understand how the bed needs to react to sense and respond to sleepers, to actively remove pressure imbalances overnight. Again, we have these air coils that are all independently controlled. And so as you move through the night, as we all do, the bed is able to respond to your body and do what it needs to eliminate wake events, and therefore helping you feel more restored in the morning. Really kind of preserves your circadian rhythm and the sleep stages that your body wants to naturally go through. And there are a few other places along the way that we use AI, predictive AI. We always have, but now with the kind of the advent of large language models, we are able to kind of build on top of that a whole new layer where we've always heard from customers that they need help understanding sleep data, understanding their trends in terms of what is or is not working for them, and at the same time, be able to understand how to use the adjustability of the mattress and the air coils to their advantage in all of what life throws at you. So Sleep Concierge is a conversational AI that you can use inside of the Bryte app that will allow you to basically have a conversation with a mattress expert, a sleep scientist, and in many ways a life coach, always available, highly personalized, and really there to help people understand what to do with not only their sleep but also with the mattress. So a great example we always give, because this came out of our beta testing, was if you generally sleep on a soft mattress and you happen to have tweaked your lower back, in that moment, for a temporary time, you're going to need a firmer mattress for support, for extra support for your lower back to keep your back straight. A quick conversation with Sleep Concierge gets you set up exactly for where you need to be for that temporary relief. And then once you've healed and the bed is aided in your recovery, you can go back to having that sort of soft profile. Can't do that with many other mattresses, right? You can't go to a store and swap it out, for a few days, and then give it back once your back is healed. So really powerful way that we've been able to take, again, the foundation of predictive AI and add to this conversational or generative AI with Sleep Concierge.
For people who don't understand that piece of the puzzle, let's talk about this massive leap forward in the differences between predictive AI and generative AI. Because like you said, predictive AI was your team telling the machine what to learn based on certain events that happened. So what's an example of what you told the machine to learn from a predictive standpoint whenever you're building the Bryte product? What's an example of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of places where, we're telling the machines, feeding it data and helping it to learn, what to do next. It's built into the way that Sense and Respond overnight was created for removing those pressure imbalances as you move around your sleep. It's built into, our sensors are picking up on very subtle clues to understand, what your kind of sleep data is in the morning. We've built a recommendation engine under the hood to help people find their level of comfort when they first buy the bed. As we all know, there's a break-in period, you kind of getting used to this new experience. And so we've always had that sort of predictive, or my engineers might just say good old-fashioned machine learning built into it. And then generative AI just, in this context, really just allows us to, and specifically large language models, LLMs, you might hear it called, it really allows us to layer on that sort of human touch, that natural dialogue of, people don't always know exactly what they're looking for. They know what they're trying to achieve. They don't always know how to ask for it. And that's one of the powers, and I think anybody who's used ChatGPT has seen this. It's one of the powers of this technology and why it's become so transformational, because you don't need to know exactly what you're trying to do. You can just engage in a conversation and have the machines give you what you need. And with our bed being able to, through the conversation, actually make changes to the bed's comfort profile, it really unlocks this. Not only are you getting advice, but you're also, getting actions taken on your behalf through the conversation directly from the chat, which is really fun to see people's reactions when they when they first encounter that.
You mentioned it was a mattress expert, a sleep coach, and maybe even a life coach. Take us into the life coach piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know, as I kind of mentioned before, but we all know sleep is highly personal. It's also intimate. It also leads to us feeling vulnerable in many ways. And the way, this technology works is you kind of, there's out of the box, there's sort of a sort of default sort of mode, and it's powerful. There's no question. But what the team, at Bryte, what we've built is kind of this kind of like separate, there's like layers on top of it that are really meant to hone in a personality, a sort of style that, and a sort of like memory and level of personalization that allows people to, get that advice in a very empathetic and caring way. That especially because of that vulnerability, because of that intimacy, and also because of sometimes, there's some tough realities of what you need to hear to get better sleep. A lot of it is lifestyle. I think we all know that. It's, the mattress can do a lot, but it can't, sort of prevent you from making some decisions that are going to affect your sleep. You can't stay up all night binging Netflix and, think you're going to get a great night's sleep. There's certain things there that then, the sleep concierge as that kind of life coach needs to deliver in a way that meets people where they are, and has that level of empathy and care. And so, we've painstakingly, sort of over, quite a bit of iteration and testing, really kind of honed experience to feel like somebody who's on your side.
So give us an example of that. Would the sleep concierge notice that you're going to bed at different times every night and perhaps lovingly or empathetically nudge you toward going to bed at the same time because of the science behind what it means to have a bedtime?
Yeah. I mean, we're still, this is the first launch. So the level of proactivity that we're building into it is still, we're sort of, testing out. But certainly through the conversation that you would have with Sleep Concierge, that'll come out. It looks at, it can pull sleep data from, years ago, and give you those sort of insights that show when you've made certain decisions, how it sort of plays out, not just night after night. There's an easy trap to fall in with any of these kind of tracker experiences that you look at it night after night. It's really, that can be problematic. It's really about trends over time. And Sleep Concierge gets to, sort of crunch all the numbers on, weeks, months, years. And yes, to your point, nudge you very, very, lovingly to try to, make a couple tweaks. And actually, very focused on small tweaks because we know that habits are difficult to break, and you don't want to try to do a bunch at once. That doesn't stick. So, really kind of small tweaks and checking in and making sure that there's a demonstrable change as you sort of follow that loving, caring nudge.
Unlike getting yelled at by your mother, it's more a good friend saying, "Hey, check this out. What do you think about that over there?"
Yeah, we could have built it that way. We do. I mean, that's a choice we made. That's certainly, some people might respond better to a, maybe a bit of a, overbearing mother. I don't know. Future versions of Sleep Concierge, can even be more sort of personalized in that regard. Yeah, what we've seen is that the subtle and loving nudge helps tremendously.
Yeah, it's going to be like your Siri that you can turn into a British guy, and that British guy talks to you and gives you directions on your map or whatever it might be. I think that's my wife's.
Yeah. I mean, future roadmap stuff for sure. I mean, especially as the technology and everything changes quite rapidly. There's a ton of opportunity to really make this even more personalized than it already is.
Let's talk about the technology and the pace of change for a minute, because I know that you're a former Amazon guy, and talk about that experience and in particular what you learned about getting close to the customer.
Yeah. Very famously, Amazonians are known for working backwards from the customer. It's one of the languages that, kind of gets pounded in your head pretty quickly there, for good reason. They've clearly demonstrated as a company over time that working backwards from the customer is what works, and it's the right way to develop products and services. So the sort of genesis of Sleep Concierge wasn't because large language models are awesome. They are, and they're powerful, but it was everything we'd heard from customers directly. We're constantly doing research and user research and user testing, and we've heard for years, especially around the tracking, sleep tracking elements of the product, that people need help with that, understanding what to do with those numbers. And we had looked at building different approaches to solutions for that, but it always felt very canned and very kind of impersonal. And large language models really kind of unlocked, in many ways, kind of put us on third base, in terms of what we always knew we needed to build, third base stealing home, if you will. And so that, we were pretty early into building on top of OpenAI's API for GPT 3.5, which came out earlier this year. So, you and I were kind of joking in the pre-show, like, feel kind of like a veteran in the large language model space at this point, because we've been working on it, through most of 2023, the better part of the year. And, we've learned a lot about how to use the technology, but then also how to relate it to what the customer needs. And so it wasn't just, the help with sleep tracking. It was also, as I mentioned, how do I leverage or use, the adjustable comfort experience to the best possible outcome that they need. And so, we are constantly, in touch with the customers to understand what they need. And we already know kind of like what our roadmap is ahead of us, in terms of building on top of this, because we've heard so much and gotten so much feedback.
It's one of the pieces about LLMs and generative AI that's so exciting to me is kind of what you described in terms of people not fully understanding what to do with the data that they received from perhaps like a wearable device, for example. Whenever people look at that data, many times I would argue that data would be wildly inaccurate, because it was just tracking movement events as opposed to other factors that are signals of good sleep. But here we are in an age where, even just a year and a half ago, we were looking at gluts of data without a real clear way of doing a whole lot with it. And that was one of the reasons there was a huge abandonment rate among people that were using wearable devices to track their sleep. Like, what do I do with this? It's just I wake up, I look at my data, and I feel bad because clearly it says I didn't sleep well. Well, now we have the ability to use generative AI to look at giant pools of information and make sense of it. And it's like, and then on top of that, the data that it can take in is language. Like this entire podcast, we can transcribe it, which we do. We could feed it into our own little Rex Harris and Mark Kinsley LLM, and you could talk to this podcast and get information out of it and turn it into other material. It's just an amazing thing. So I love the thought process behind like making real sense of this for people and doing it in a way that doesn't make you feel like you want to run because you got bad news.
Yeah. I mean, you know, thankfully, we've been collecting data because, you know, even if it, you know, had its flaws in terms of how it was displayed, and admittedly, you know, we would see very similar, you know, sort of feature churn on kind of the insights when it's just a sort of big dump of raw data than what you see with other trackers. And I think some of the data out there, even, you know, like I said, we've seen it's sort of like 3 to 4 months, and then people kind of stop paying attention, and for good reason. You know, okay, this is interesting. Wow. Especially with sleep, because you don't know what's happening. You know, when you're sleeping, you're unconscious. So, you know, it's fascinating data to look at, but then, you know, without some action plan of what to do about it, it, you know, quickly fades in terms of its usefulness. So I think, you know, the fact that, you know, we have been collecting, and a lot of, you know, services have been collecting all this data, and LLMs just have this uncanny ability to just squash it all into, you know, its most, you know, sort of useful form, and deliver it to you in a way that is, you know, obviously personalized, but it's just very digestible from a, you know, sort of natural human language perspective. It's what has really fueled this just ginormous, you know, boom and, you know, the usage of this technology. It's really exciting. I mean, great time to be alive right now and building this stuff. And as a user, also just being able to take advantage of it. Yeah.
What do you think is what is that roadmap looking like for Bryte? I mean, here we are. Is it somewhat going to follow the cadence and the evolution of generative AI, while also being as intentional as you can be? Because clearly this is something that came along that you're able to tap into.
Yeah. Probably the multi-million-dollar question, Mark Kinsley. I'll answer it with broad strokes, because I think if I give you any other specificity, not even like giving away trade secrets as much as just, you know, pretending like we all know, you know, what's going to come in the next 6 to 9 to 12 months. I mean, the experiences that we see unlocking for customers goes even further down the path of personalization, and in a way that's, you know, helpful in all kind of aspects of your life that isn't just sleep, because as we mentioned, sleep is, you know, 1/3 of the day. The other 2/3, you know, are obviously really important. We still do talk about this a little bit at Bryte. It's kind of saying we used to always use, which is, you know, today sets up tonight, which sets up tomorrow, right? And what you do during the day is so critical to how you end up, you know, the quality of sleep you get that night, and then obviously the next day, it's this kind of cycle. And so for us, it's utilizing the technology to help people in a way that is, you know, kind of extends outside of the bedroom and extends outside of specifically sleep. And so that's kind of broad strokes. And then, I mean, as anybody who's paid attention to this space, you know, especially like last week, you know, big news coming up from OpenAI, and, you know, again, we are using, you know, the OpenAI API. This notion of multimodal, where, you know, it's not just, you know, chat, it's voice, it's pictures, or, you know, sort of, you know, the ability to take pictures and use that as an input. You know, these kind of modalities that go beyond just a simple chatbot experience. And I even, you know, hate to use the word chatbot. I often, you know, will say conversational AI, because I think chatbot, especially in the context of the power of, you know, something like Sleep Concierge, you know, doesn't really do it justice. But you can imagine in a world where you're talking to Sleep Concierge. Even just that little unlock is hugely transformative if you haven't experienced it with any of these LLMs today. Just the natural back and forth dialogue takes that sort of level of assistance and coaching and kind of delivering of advice and just changes it immensely. And it seems so kind of small, but once you experience it, you realize it's really powerful. So those are my broad strokes. I don't have anything earth shattering to share in terms of where we're going to go with it, but we will it will always take the technology that's coming out and fix it to what our customers need and what we're hearing from them.
Well, it's an incredible product, what I've seen so far, and I haven't even fully experienced Sleep Concierge AI, so I can't wait to get my hands on that. I know it's tied to the product. I'm going to ask you 2 more questions, one of which is I'm going to ask you what I didn't ask you, but I always I always like to know here on the show, where is the strangest place you have ever slept, Rex Harris?
Yes, I am a fan of this show, and I didn't prepare for that question. I'm kicking myself right now. I'm sure there are. Well, no, I will give you a great anecdote on that. I was in college, and I'm sure sleeping in a car is probably not that unique to many of your guests or your listeners. I'm sure many people have slept in a car before. However, I was probably junior in college, and we went to Snowshoe, West Virginia, where they have it's a ski resort. Amazing place to go downhill mountain biking in the summer. We went. We not only ripped all sorts of trails. We slept in the bed of this truck, and it was an absolutely terrible idea because we didn't realize that up in the mountains we were not mountain people, Midwesterner. We didn't realize it gets really cold in the middle of the night when you're in the mountains. We literally, we almost froze to death there, and we're not prepared. So it's somewhat unique, but certainly in the context of us starting and talking about mountain biking, it was an incredible experience to regale that story later, especially because it came with some incredible mountain biking. Yeah.
All right, guys. I know it's going to get weird, but we're going to have to huddle for heat.
Right. It was 3 of us in the back of a pickup truck.
Yeah, I've slept in my fair share of cars as well. One time, I think it probably would have been around. Did you say West Virginia?
Yeah, it was West Virginia.
Yeah.
No shoot.
Yeah. I was driving back from Boston and flat broke. I mean, there's a country song in here somewhere, but I was flat broke.
Yeah, you told me this story.
Yeah, slept in the parking lot.
Driving back to your now wife, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Flat broken, busted in the panhandle of West Virginia, sleeping in the hotel parking lot in my car. And that was back when computers were huge, and I had my giant computer monitor in the seat beside me. So there wasn't a whole lot of room for me to do anything like stretch out wise. So I just kind of encased. Yeah.
I haven't thought about computer monitors that big in a very long time.
Yeah. that was my pillow. Okay. What did I not ask you about Bryte, about Sleep Concierge AI, about the future of the world? What did I miss?
Yeah. No, I think, thank you for the question. I think what we probably didn't get into too much that I'd like everybody to know is about Bryte specifically. We are very much a transformational kind of technology company as it pertains to sleep, but we're really looking to partner with the industry, not disrupt it. We've started to really form some partnerships that we'll be able to talk about next year, but that has just really been so rewarding for how we think we're going to be able to satisfy and to serve customers in a way that we wouldn't maybe have been able to do on our own in certain situations. And so, we're definitely, in this place where we built the technology that's very much like the Bryte inside, kind of like the Intel inside. It kind of can plug and play and into any mattresses line that where it makes sense. And so, just want everybody to know that all this technology that we're talking about, including sort of the predictive and generative AI, is something we're out there really partnering with the industry on. And our goal, our mission is really to have everybody sleep this way. And of course, we say that we're the makers of the technology, but the mission is really grounded in the founding of the company and wanting really everybody to get better sleep. I mean, that's why we're all in this industry, aren't we? And I think we have a unique sort of take on that. And certainly we've heard that from our customers. It's really been sort of a life changer for many people. So that would be the thing that we didn't talk too much about. But AI obviously gives us such an opportunity to bring that kind of sleep to people. And we're very fortunate.
When you think about partnering with the industry, like you talked about, how do people that are interested in talking more with you or your team get in touch?
Yeah, you can reach out to me. I'll put it out here. I'm rex@bryte.com. We're a small company. We love talking to folks in the industry. A lot of us, admittedly, have a technology background. And so we've learned a tremendous amount, especially from people like yourself. I mean, going to Dream Camp last year, it's unbelievable experience. I learned so much, and we've come a long way, I think, from our inception in terms of understanding what is required to be successful in this industry. But we're always trying to learn more and always trying to talk to others and trade notes. And so reach out.
And by the way, it's Rex at Bryte, and Bryte is Bryte.
That's right. Thank you for the
Rex at Bryte.com. Want to make sure they get in touch with you. Well, Rex, you're an awesome guy. I mean, you're an absolute ripper on a mountain bike. Like, you inspire me.
Likewise.
You're super smart. You're thoughtful. I love the way you think about solving problems and getting in touch with the, being there with the customer and the future. And you and I, have nerded out trading text messages about everything that's happening in the AI world. And it's just such a super fun time to be a part of technology and change, especially as a non-technical person like myself, to be able to go out there and build things and experiment and put together these LLMs and actually have technology and data do something for you instead of just sitting on the sidelines like it has for so long. And to be able to put that into the sleep space like Bryte's done and you and your team have done, congratulations. That's huge. I'm super excited about it.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you. And yeah, you're right. The barrier to trees, it's changed dramatically with this technology, and it's only gonna get more powerful. And we're all gonna benefit from it. So yeah, really, really grateful to be working on it to bring this value to customers.
Well, Rex, thanks so much. We'll have to have you back whenever the world changes again, and when you have more updates from Bryte and Sleep Concierge AI and all those cool conversations and that data that you get about customers, starts to come to the surface about new trends and new insights into sleep that I think you guys are uniquely positioned to grab and do something with.
Yeah, it'd be an honor. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
My pleasure, man. Well, everybody, make sure you subscribe, give us a like on YouTube, pass this along to your friends, and definitely hit up Rex at Bryte.com, and we'll see you here on the next Sleep Summit show.